I remember the last time I was going to drink. I was driving down the road, and my thought was, I'm going to get a case of beer and I'm just going to get drunk tonight. I'm just going to forget about everything. I'm not going to deal with anything. I'm just going to spend the weekend at home and I'm just going to drink all weekend. The first time I drank was in high school. I was going to a dance and they had a party before the dance. I drank till I blacked out. And I remember walking into the school, and then I don't remember anything until my date. I woke up in my date's sister's bathroom puking. So I'd lost like 5 hours, and that was the first time I drank. I didn't drink the rest of my high school year. I graduated high school, didn't party, didn't anything.
I was a couple years too young to join the Boy Scouts, so I lied about my age and I joined anyway, and they let me in so I could get away on these campouts and not be stuck with the drunken stepfather. And that's basically where my drinking career started, was in the Boy Scouts, because I was away from the house and I was with these older kids, and I don't remember my first drink of alcohol, but I know it was on a camping trip with the Boy Scouts, and somewhere around 10, 11 years old, and I always remember trying to be cool.
My first experience with drinking, I can remember I was probably around the age of 6 or 7 years old. I can remember being at a house, a friend of my older brother's house, and they were having a party. And I'm at this party, and I'm smoking pot and I'm drinking like a 6-year-old, and feeling like I'm their age. I'm just fitting in wherever I'm at. It took away that insecurity. It took away everything.
And that was the whole thing, is just wanting to be accepted, wanting to be liked, wanting to be cool. I loved the feeling because it didn't make me feel like I was different then. It made me feel a part of everybody and a part of things. And it gave me a feeling of being bigger than I was. I felt power from drinking, and I felt I could do things like other kids, and I didn't have to be afraid of everybody.
The very first time I can remember drinking or using any kind of substance, that made me feel normal.
The father of my children was an alcoholic, and he was an abusive alcoholic. Not so much physically as mentally and emotionally. And when I was with him, I swore I'd never be like him. I hated alcohol. I just hated it because I had suffered so much abuse from it. He would drink the baby's formula money, and there would be no diapers for the kids, and I wasn't allowed to leave the house, or I wasn't allowed to get a job to make the money. So when I finally got the guts to leave, I hated it. I wanted nothing to do with it.
Originally, I started using alcohol and marijuana. Alcohol was okay. It lubricated. It was the lubricant. It made me feel good and it made me relaxed. After a period of time, I'd probably say in my middle teens, I started using cocaine, and it was generally snorting cocaine, and that was heaven.
I left and I took care of my kids, and I was a single mom for about a year. And then I met my late husband. He was a partier, but he didn't abuse me. So then I started drinking, and I would drink. We'd go to parties on the weekends, have people over to my house most of the time because I had the kids and couldn't find a babysitter. And it just went from there. The abuse of the first relationship had made me so withdrawn inside, and I was very quiet. And when I drank, I could open up.
I didn't like downers and any of those kind of drugs. I like to be up. So anything like crystal meth, speed, uppers, that kept me awake to drink some more. The more I could drink, the longer I could stay up to drink more, the better I liked it.
I experimented with speed and some opiates and acid, things like that. But cocaine was the deal.
My late husband, we would go to parties, and he always told me he wanted to turn me on to my first line of cocaine. And this was a thing that went on for like a month, and I would actually go to parties and people would offer me some coke, and I'd say, no, I don't want it. I'm gonna wait for Bob to turn me on to my first line, and he did. And I went nuts from there. That drug was my love.
I was a blackout drinker, and I couldn't drink unless I was shooting coke to stay away to drink more, because if I didn't shoot cocaine, I would be in a blackout perpetually. So I had just gotten to a point that I couldn't function or stay awake if I wasn't shooting cocaine. Plus the rush from the cocaine while you're drinking isn't high in and of itself.
The drug itself I loved. It was something that from the very beginning just had me in its grips. In 10 years' time, my mind was consumed by my drug. And I wanted to get, each time I got high, I wanted to get higher than I got.
Unfortunately, because I was a blackout drinker the vast majority of my drinking career, I was arrested often in a blackout in the middle of criminal activities that I didn't even know I was doing. You know, I would just wake up in a blackout, and there I would be in the middle of a burglary with a couple of cops hanging on to me and not even know I was in a burglary.
I was in an inpatient treatment, and I was in there for about 3 weeks. I didn't want to live. I wanted to die. The reason I got kicked out of treatment was one night I remember just being, feeling like, what, this ain't worth living anymore. I was 18 years old, and I felt like I wasted my entire life, and my life was over. I remember tying like a pillowcase or a bed sheet to get something together and trying to hang myself underneath the ceiling, putting a ceiling tile over and trying to do this and trying to kick a chair out, and the thing undoing or breaking, and I fell on the floor, and just, it felt like I was a waste then. It's like, you can kill yourself, right? And I ended up strapped down in 5-point restraints to a table, and I'm screaming. I remember screaming. I screamed myself to sleep.
My kids can tell you about playing hide and seek and finding garbage bags full of weed. And my little 3-year-old one day picked up a snow seal full of cocaine and asked me, why did everybody like these so much? And my husband ended up selling to an undercover cop, and they had been watching us for a while. And that was when he said, that's it, we're done. We're not using no more. He threw the scale away, threw everything away. I was so mad at him. I wasn't thinking about him going to prison. I was thinking about me and me not being able to get high.
Every once in a while I'd get a job and I'd get back on my feet, and within a few months I'd pull it all down on myself again, and I'd end up back out on the street, and everything I collected over a period of a few months I'd lose it again in a blackout somewhere, or somebody would steal it from me in a blackout. I'd end up hitchhiking to another city or taking a Greyhound bus to another city, and that just progressively got worse too.
The last time I used cocaine, I was using cocaine with my sister. She wanted to go get some more, and I told her, I said, we're not going to go get no more. I can remember I was wearing a white shirt, because what happened was my sister ended up slashing her wrist with a broken bottle. She broke a bottle and slashed her wrist in front of me. And just bawled, bawling, crying, saying that, she's very upset, and she was drunk and she was high. And I could remember holding her and having, blood all over me. I just had blood dripping off me and stuff like that. And I can remember the paramedics coming and having blood on like the side of my head and having blood all over me. It looked like I killed somebody. They ended up taking her to Elgin Mental Institution and checking her in. And I could remember coming down off of cocaine that night. I'm like stranded because she's in the hospital, and I'm looking at myself and I'm going, this is just ridiculous. What are you doing to yourself? More than anything else, I think I just got to the point of being tired. I got tired of hurting, and I got tired of being in scenarios like the thing with my sister. I mean, it was always something going on, and there was always, it was never fun anymore. It just got to the point where it was, I was no longer enjoying using drugs.
My husband got sick, and he went into the hospital, and and they didn't think he was going to make it. And he kissed me, told me he loved me, and then he went into the bathroom. And about 3 minutes later, I went into the bathroom to check on him, and he was dying. I knew that the drugs we did had killed my husband at the young age of 38. I just knew it. It was something, it was like a light bulb flash, and there was a lot of remorse there at that time. I didn't drink. I was so distraught that I didn't know what to do.
I forget how many dollars I had in my pocket, maybe $7 or $8 or $9 left to my name. And I was out on the street again, no place to go, no place to live. I'd lost all my belongings again. Back out on Skid Row basically again, and I had went into a bar that was open and had 3 or 4 or 5 more beers, and I had just enough money for a 6-pack. And so I bought the 6-pack that I had, and I was sitting out on the street in a parking lot on one of those 6-foot parking things in a parking lot, and drinking this last 6-pack. And to my recollection, that was the last drink that I had before a nurse that I knew, I called this nurse that I knew, and she took me in her car to this detox center, and she had to go in to get another nurse because I was too weak and too, whatever, to get into the building. So she went and got another nurse, and these 2 nurses carried me into the detox center from her car, and that was my last drink, and I got sober in that detox. I was in there about 11 days.
At the very end of my drinking no longer did for me what it used to do. It didn't quiet my mind anymore. It no longer worked. I originally liked drinking for the standpoint of it stopped my mind. It stopped that incessant thinking, and it calmed me down. And it was like, okay, now what? I don't know, I had like this very sad period at the end of my whole deal. Generally just kind of very isolated and violent when I was out. I'd get into fist fights and in bars, and just generally, just bad things happen when I drank. I mean, this is what happens. And my thing was, I'm so unique.
I remember the last time I was going to drink. Now, my husband had passed away, and my oldest son had left for the Army. My youngest son ended up in jail on his way to prison. And I had lost everything that meant anything to me. Money didn't mean anything to me. Where I lived in my family meant everything to me. Other than the drugs, they were first. And when my youngest boy, my baby, went to jail, I was driving down the road, and I was going to turn into a liquor store. I seen a liquor store, and I was going to turn right into the liquor store. And my thought was, I'm going to get a case of beer, and I'm just going to get drunk tonight. I'm just going to forget about everything. I'm not going to deal with anything. I'm just going to spend the weekend at home, and I'm just going to drink all weekend. And all of a sudden, it was like that light that came on when I found out, when Bob died, that I knew it was our cocaine use. A light came on in my head that said, something's wrong. This isn't right. I can't explain it. I can't tell you how it came. I believe it was God-given. And I just knew at that point I couldn't drink anymore. I knew at that point that there was something wrong with my drug use and my drinking. And I proceeded to not pull in the liquor store. And life was I was so distraught, so lonely. Everything had gone. I was desperate. Life was just so empty at that point. I had nobody. And my biggest fear had come true. I was all alone. Because I never liked being alone, and I never was until that moment.
I would urge anybody who is having problems with alcoholism, drug addiction, to seek professional help. Whether you need detox and treatment center, halfway house, whether you need whatever the problem might be, seek some professional help.